I've really been looking forward to these segments. We're going to break this up into a couple of segments on the creative cycle. Before we can really have you understand the creative cycle and start maybe using it, I want you to give us some history of the creative cycle. Isn't something that popped up last week. It's been looked at as something to be studied. So how far back does it go?
Well, it goes back to, at least in my knowledge, Hermann Helmholtz, who was a wonderful scientist in Germany in late 1800s.
So over 100 years ago, people were talking about a creative cycle.
Yeah, he was a scientist, and he began to realize that there was a pattern to the type of things he did when he went through the creative process of developing his scientific theories. Remember, when we talk about creativity, we say that we look at it from three particular areas: from the creative person, the creative process, and the creative product.
And we call those the three Ps.
The three Ps of creativity.
And we have another segment that we really dive into those particular areas. So what are they again?
The creative person.
Right.
How do we decide what makes one person more creative than another? And that's sort of one whole body of research and knowledge. Then there's the creative product. What makes one product?
The end product.
Yeah, the end product. And that's really the realm of aesthetics and questions about neuroaesthetics now. How does the brain decide what's beautiful and what's not beautiful? And then the one that we're going to deal with now is the process. What do people actually do when they are creative? What makes their activities more creative?
So over 100 years ago,
Helmholtz identified. He started out with three separate activities that he identified that he did, and the first one he called was saturation, which is not intuitively, you're not quite sure what he's talking about, but what he means is pulling in information. It's the research phase. He realized that every part of a creative process in science or in arts, you had to do this, saturation.
He said it starts with saturation.
Yeah. And then he was the first, I think, and I may be wrong about this, but the first to recognize this incubation stage, which you hear so much about.
Okay, so he had an incubation stage.
Yeah, that's that stage where you stop thinking, consciously about the process, and that tends to lead to the aha, suddenly I have an idea. So he identified those three stages: the saturation phase, the incubation stage, and then the illumination stage is what
that's the third stage.
Yeah, this aha, the eureka moment. Now, other folks that came in, Henri Poincaré was a French scientist, and he went through the same process.
So he was contemporary, or he built on?
I think he was a little bit later.
So he was building on the earlier three-stage model.
And picking out, so he recognized those as well, but I'm forgetting exactly which one he brought in. I think it was the verification. That's right. Sorry for that fumble. He realized that when you go through the creative process and you're doing science, an incredibly important part is to actually verify that your great idea is actually a great idea, that it works.
So the first three stages stopped short of even proving it works, or it stopped at that moment of insight.
Yeah, you go through your saturation, incubation. I have this great idea, and we've all done this.
So the French researcher, added the verification.
Yeah, verification. When you have this great idea, you have to actually test it and put it out there and see, is it that great, or even just give it some time. Does it sound as great tomorrow as as it does today? There was a guy named Wallace, W-A-L-L-A-S, Graham Wallace, who most things that I've read give him credit for putting together what most people now use as the creative process.
And where was he from?
He was British.
Okay. And what era was he?
I think it was the early 20th century.
So we've got almost three different stages over. So they're building off of each other. So what did Wallace add?
He added an initiation stage, which intuitively makes sense.
At the beginning?
Yeah, you got to start.
So we've got one adding at the end, verification, and now one adding at the beginning.
Right.
Okay.
So generally, people will talk about these 5 stages, the initiation stage, the saturation stage, the incubation, illumination, and then verification.
Okay.
We have added 2 phases to that because I think they're implied in everything that people say about creativity, and they just were not stated explicitly, but I think that they're important.
And the science that you and I you've done the hard work on this to try to figure out where are the missing links within this continuum. And I remember the first time you posed this, it was you're trying to figure out why didn't it make sense with the new neuroscience we've got. So let's take a break here because we've got the history, we brought it up till now, and then we'll be back by explaining a little bit about how Michael shaped in the 2 what we think might be missing segments within the creative cycle.
Okay.